The Personal Injury New South Wales calculators are designed to assist lawyers calculating damages in personal injury matters. The calculators cover the assessment of damages under the Motor Accidents Compensation Act, Civil Liability Act, and Part 5 of the Workers' Compensation Act, and can be used to calculate non-economic loss, economic loss, care and assistance, and out-of-pocket expenses in claims from the 1st of January 2003 onwards. The calculators allow you to create matters, save calculations, edit previously saved calculations, and export schedules of damages in Microsoft Word format. By editing the basic details of a matter, you can update all the calculations saved against that matter based on the new details, meaning you can, for example, recalculate certain heads of damage based on a new date of assessment with the click of a button. The calculators are designed to not only reduce the time involved in calculating damages for more experienced lawyers, but also to guide less experienced lawyers through the process with tips and guidance throughout the workflow. The calculators draw on tables, figures, and values found in the latest version of the Furza Crestani Assessment Handbook and in legislation, and are always up to date. While the Personal Injury New South Wales calculators can be used to perform one-off calculations, it also includes a matter management system which allows you to create new matters, add calculations to those matters, and edit those calculations over the course of a claim. If you want to create a calculation that you can edit later, or if you want to calculate multiple heads of damage for a single matter, start by clicking Create a Matter. Here you can enter details about the matter which will later be used to populate values in any calculations you add to the matter. The life expectancy will be calculated based on the claimant's date of birth and the date of assessment. You can either enter a life expectancy in terms of years remaining or calculate the life expectancy based on median life expectancy. While it may be difficult or impossible to determine the date of assessment at the outset of a matter, a nominal date can be entered and edited later. This date will be used to determine the date on which past losses cease, the date on which future losses begin, and other factors such as the claimant's life expectancy and working life remaining. Once you have created a matter, you will be taken to the matter view for that matter. From here, you can edit those matter details, delete the matter, export calculations saved against the matter, or add a calculation to the matter. The Matter dashboard is the home page for the Personal Injury New South Wales calculators. You can return to this page at any time by clicking the Dashboard button. The Matter dashboard will be displayed once you have created a matter. From here, you can access all the matters you have saved. By default, the matters on the dashboard are sorted by date modified, with the most recently modified matter appearing first. You can also search for matters, or sort by matter name, claimant name, respondent name, date of accident, and matter status by clicking the corresponding heading on the Matter dashboard. You can also filter by matter status to display only opened, closed, or archived matters. Clicking on a Matters row on the dashboard will open the Matter View page. From here, you can view and edit all calculations saved against a matter, edit or delete a matter, change the status of a matter, or export the matter details and calculations in Microsoft Word printer-friendly format for editing. The Personal Injury New South Wales calculators allow you to perform one-off calculations or add calculations to a matter you have created. To perform a one-off calculation, select the relevant head of damage from the navigation pane on the left-hand side of the Matter dashboard screen. Once you're presented with the first calculator screen, deselect the option "I would like to add a calculation to a matter." There are two ways to add a calculation to an existing matter: by selecting the head of damage from the navigation pane on the left-hand side of the matter dashboard screen and selecting the matter from the drop-down list, or by selecting Add a Calculation on the Matter Details page. Adding a calculation to a matter populates the calculation with values already entered on the Matter Details page. These pre-populated values cannot be edited while performing a calculation. Saving any changes made to a matter's details page will automatically update all the calculations saved against that matter. Let's now look at the options for calculating future losses in more detail. There are three calculators for calculating future losses: future out-of-pocket expenses, future economic loss, and future care and assistance. In this demonstration, we will be looking at the future out-of-pocket expenses calculator. The future out-of-pocket expenses calculator allows you to calculate future expenses such as treatment, medication, mileage, special equipment, and any other miscellaneous future out-of-pocket expenses. Note that future care and assistance, whether provided gratuitously or commercially, should be calculated using the Future Care and Assistance calculator. The Name This Calculation field is an optional field you can use to identify the calculation later on in the event that you save multiple sets of out-of-pocket expenses against a matter. If you are performing a one-off calculation, deselect the Add this calculation to a matter checkbox. Otherwise, select the relevant matter from the drop-down list. We will be selecting our newly created matter, Smith & Jones. Next is the expense entry screen. This is divided into 5 sections, allowing you to categorize the expenses claimed as being related to treatment, medication, special equipment, and mileage. There is also a category for other miscellaneous expenses. To add an expense, click the New Entry button for the appropriate category. Enter a brief description for the treatment, followed by the cost of each treatment. Then select the frequency period of the treatment from the drop-down menu, for example, weekly or monthly. And then enter the number of times the expense will occur each period. You can also select one-off for one-off expenses. The annual and weekly cost will now be calculated. Then enter the number of years for which the treatment will be required. The default duration provided is for the remainder of the claimant's expected life, and if the treatment is deferred, check the Deferred checkbox. The $1 per week and $1 deferred multipliers will be calculated, as will the final amount. Press the tick button to save the entry. To see the workings for a calculation, hover over the information icon. You can edit or delete an entry at any time. We'll now enter several more examples. Special equipment and home modifications are calculated based on the initial cost and the replacement period for each item. As with treatment, medication and miscellaneous expenses, you can select one-off from the frequency list to calculate non-recurring expenses. As with all other expenses, the default duration is for the remainder of the claimant's life, and the expense can be deferred or non-deferred. There is also a dedicated mileage calculator. Enter a description for the journey, for example, travel to physio, the frequency and distance of the journey, and the rate to be applied. The applicable rate is determined by the ATO based on the year of assessment and the engine capacity of the vehicle. As with the other expenses, you can select one-off from the frequency list to calculate non-recurring expenses. The default duration is for the remainder of the claimant's life, and the expense can be deferred or non-deferred. Once you have finished entering all future out-of-pocket expenses, click View Calculation. This will provide you with a breakdown and the total of all future out-of-pocket expenses, which you can print or export in Microsoft Word format for editing. If you elected to add the calculation to an existing matter, you can then save the calculation to that matter by clicking Finish and Save. Let us now look at the options for calculating past losses. There are 3 calculators for calculating past losses: past out-of-pocket expenses, past economic loss, past care and assistance. In this demonstration, we will be looking at the past care and assistance calculator. The past care and assistance calculator allows you to calculate expenses relating to gratuitous care and assistance between the date of the accident and the date of assessment. Note that for past care and assistance provided on a commercial basis, that is, paid past care and assistance, the past out-of-pocket expenses calculator should be used. If you are performing a one-off calculation, deselect the Add this calculation to a matter checkbox. Otherwise, select the relevant matter from the drop-down list. We will add this past care and assistance calculation to Smith & Jones. Next is the period of care and assistance screen. Select the dates of the period of care and assistance that you need to calculate. Enter the number of hours of care provided per week during the period and an optional description of the care provided during that period. The applicable rate will be determined based on the number of hours of care provided per week during the period and the average weekly earnings of all New South Wales employees at each point in time. Click Save Period to save your entry. You can edit or delete the period you have saved, or add a new period of past care and assistance. When you have finished entering all periods of past care and assistance, click View Calculation. This will provide you with a breakdown and the total of all periods of past care and assistance, which you can print or export in Word format for editing. The applicable rate is determined by Section 141B of the Motor Accidents Compensation Act 1999, New South Wales. If you elected to add the calculation to an existing matter, you can then save the calculation to that matter by clicking Finish and Save. That concludes the introduction to the LexisNexis Practical Guidance Personal Injury New South Wales Calculators. For more information or assistance, please refer to other modules and the Help page.